Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nancy, and I'm the Public Safety Program Manager with TCP Software. I have been working with Aladtec for many years, and I'll be walking you through the system today. I'm actually have a special guest too here. He is a current customer of Aladtec. So after I kind of do a quick introduction of Aladtec here for the next 15-20 minutes, I'd like to bring him on and just ask him a few questions about how he's using his system and how things are going for him. So we'll be doing that as well. So to move on here to our agenda, I'm just going to kind of briefly go through the member database in the system, the schedule of views that we've got available. The forms that we have online forms, so a great way to move all of your paper forms onto into online forms, so making everything a little bit easier to use and into store as well. And then we'll go through some of the reports that we have already in the system as well, and how you can filter those and get the information you need out of it. If you have any questions while we're going through this, please feel free to put them in the chat section on your screen there, and we'll get to those as best as we can through the system. Sorry, I guess it's actually the questions panel actually is where those go. So let's just get right into the system here. Let me just get out of this one, and I'm going to go into my system here. So when you first come into Aladtec, just so you know, and I should mention too, just so you know, TCP Software has been in business for like 30 years, and they offer time and attendance and scheduling products. Aladtec's been around for over 20 years. It was designed specifically for public safety agencies. I know that it has the unique 24/7 shift scheduling, and that's something that we in Aladtec, the program itself, has always strived to maintain. So, so when you first come into Aladtec, when you log in, you're going to come into the home page. This one probably looks a little bare. I was kind of playing around with it earlier, but in this home page, you can actually put any kind of information you want your employees to see here, including you can add logos, links, things like that in here as well. But what I wanted to note here on this homepage is the dashboard on the right-hand side. And this dashboard is kind of a summary of what's going on in the system. For admins and supervisors, they're going to see more information than just a member would. I'm going to go into actually an admin here so we can see what it looks like here. So they're going to see different things going on in the system, like sign-ups that are here, pending vacation, and a supervisor can go ahead and make those approvals or denials right from here. There's also going to be information about their upcoming schedule. There are fields in the member database, which I'll touch on in a little bit here, where it is often used for like tracking certifications and licenses. And they will indicate if they're going to be expiring or expiring soon, so you know what certs needs to get updated. And then if there's any events going on in the system as well, or with your department, it'll note those as well. And then any trades or discussions activity that is going on as well. If I were to show this as a let's just pick somebody here as a, I think that person is, there we go. As just a member, they aren't going to see all the other information where they can approve or deny requests. They're going to see just the basic information and their own information expiration information as well too. So that was a lot of information words there. Go back into our supervisor. So if we come into the next thing on our navigation bar is the members, and we have a member database, which kind of looks a little bit like a spreadsheet where it's going to list all the information here, all the members, and all kinds of information that is captured. Another place though is the My Info page, and you can click here, or you can hover over a person's name and do Edit Member. This profile page, all of the information in here is the same for every member in the system, but of course they're going to have their own unique tracking of notifications and cell phone and emails and all of that. Within the profile, you're going to have the basic information up here with what access level and work group pay period that they're assigned to. This is all done, the definition of what different levels you have and groups is all defined in the setup. So you can actually assign people to a specific access level or work group. And that can just be depending on what kind of permissions and qualifications they have in the system as to what defines those. Another section here is going to be just the general messaging information. This is important for receiving notifications and alerts throughout the system. They'll need to have a primary email address and as well the cell phone information in order to receive them. The notification section is actually for that member themselves. They'll see the My Request section here. So anything that they submit for extra hours, time off, that kind of thing, they can actually check how they want to receive the notification or information back, whether it's been approved or denied. They can choose that here. If you're a supervisor like this person in this example is, they're going to also see things for their people that they have direct reports to. So they'll receive information about their requests if they need to be approved or denied. And all that is going to be right here, how you want to receive those requests come through. And you can also choose based on the access level or work group what you will also want to see for extra hours, shift signups, time off, if you want to see email and text or both. And you can check mark specific groups that you want to receive information from. This way it just doesn't bombard your inbox with everything, because maybe you just have a specific group that you supervise and you want to see just their requests come through. Then this section here is the work qualifications, and what this does is allow you to specifically specify which schedules and positions a person can work. And this is the key part that allows them to maybe see certain schedules, work certain schedules. So if there's coverage alerts going out, if they're qualified to work as that position, then they will receive the coverage alert request, that kind of thing. So this really can determine where people can get scheduled. And then the bottom portion is really also customizable. You can add fields in here. We have a member database configurator section. So you can actually just drag and drop fields in here that you want to be able to track. We have different date fields, a regular date field, and then the expiration date field that we talked about on the dashboard. So if you do have certifications expiring, you'll see that here. We also have a attachment field, and you can store lots of different, upload lots of different files to this field. Maybe it's a copy of their certifications, licenses, driver's license, things like that, whatever needs to be in there. The other part that I want to talk about then is when we're looking at it from this screen here, a lot of this information can be edited right from here as well. So if I needed to change somebody's access level, I can do that right from here and save it versus having to go into their profile. In the upper right hand corner, you'll see this throughout the system. There's a filter and an edit selection here. So there's some system filters throughout the system that you can go ahead and just click on, and it will narrow this information down. So here's just account information. But you can also select edit, and it will show you the ones that are currently displayed. But if you want to see additional information, you can do that as well. Hit apply, and that will be displayed as well. So it almost even works a little bit as a reporting tool as well, because you can really narrow it down to what you want to see. You can also send messages to people from here. So you could do a group, or I should say the entire member database, or if you wanted to do it by a certain group, you could sort by that group and then just highlight the ones for that particular group, and you can do a send a message, and you can send them directly through an email or a text only, or you can do both and send that out directly to them. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, in the member database, you can also export this information as well, or you can do the printer-friendly version too. Now, moving on to the schedules. Schedules has a lot of views, the schedule view section. This is the monthly view, and you can see I'm in as David, so you can see his schedule is highlighted here. The monthly calendar is a very popular one that people use, but it can be really narrowed down. You can look at a monthly roster view, and you can see it's just in different formats. The custom one is just whether you want to enter a specific custom range. Weekly has a blocks view and a shifts view, and the daily one has a daily blocks view and a daily summary view. So a lot of different ways to look at it, just depending on what, and it's basically per person. So it doesn't have to be the monthly calendar view for everybody to see. It's based on the person that's logged in, for them only. So, and then again, we have the filters here as well that you can edit and choose what you want to see, how many schedules you want to see here. Maybe you want to narrow that down. If you want to see all the additional schedules with trades and time offs and things like that. So in this view also, you're going to see we have shift labels that is customizable in the setup. These don't happen to really match up with my schedules. I just added them quickly this morning because I wanted you to be able to see that it is something that can be added and customized to your schedule as well. So kind of just an easier way to see something right away. We also have in here events that are going on, and you'll notice that there's a lot of color-coded things in here. Events are kind of like this brown color, so as people come in, they can actually see what events are going on that day. You'll also see things like purple are the open shifts. You got people that are signing up. These are the open shifts that are here, and you got people that are willing to sign up for them. And we have time off as well. So in this case, we have somebody that took time off on this day. So it was already approved. So once the time off has been approved, it takes them off the schedule. And now we can see that we have 2 people that signed up for this. And I'll show you that in a little bit, how they went ahead and did that. But this stuff can actually be processed right from here, or you can also come into the day's schedule and do edit schedule, and it takes you to the hourly editor where we can make day-to-day changes as well. So from here, this happened to be the date then where we had the 2 people that were signing up for it for this particular position. Now, as I move the circle or the radial button, you'll see it will pertain to that particular shift. So for Catherine Berry as an EMT here, AEMT, it'll show who's available here. I can make changes here if I wanted to. I could take a person off this shift and they're no longer there, and I can see who I can fill it with, and I can do some easy drag and drop. And I can also change the time if I wanted to, just by dragging it over. Now in this case here, we had this one that we were looking at here. I think that was the one here. Oh, maybe it was a different one. ALS, that's where it was on this one here. So for this one here, we were looking to fill this one. I can simply look at the information, and so maybe it's based on the total hours they worked. That's how I'm going to decide who gets this shift. If you go to the edit field, there's a calculator section here, and you can actually look at other information. So if I look at, say, date hired, maybe I want to do it by seniority as to who gets to work this shift. So if I did it by seniority, it'd be this one here. If I did it by total hours worked this week, then maybe I want to give it to Vicky. So I can go ahead and click sign up and say, yep, approve sign up. And then she's populated up in that shift. So as I said, this one here is a lot of times your day-to-day. You can add people, remove people. You can hover over this little 3 lines here. You can submit time off for people right through here. So if somebody calls in sick, you can take them off the schedule and send out a coverage alert. One of the other things you can do from this monthly calendar view is you may notice that there are little blue envelopes. So if we have an open shift here, I can actually click on the send coverage alert, I should say the blue envelope, which is coverage alert. And I'm looking to fill this particular shift. So I can click on the shift. It's going to automatically default to just those that are not currently scheduled. If I wanted to even narrow it down further, I can look at specific individuals and select send it to everybody or just a specific person. And then you would go ahead and send the notification. That would go out, that coverage alert notice would go out to everybody at the same time. And then you can get multiple people signing up for the shift, and you can determine, who's the best fit. That's one way we have, that's called the simultaneous notification. The other one that I want to mention is we have a staggered notification. And what that one does is I can actually, in the setup, change what I want a staggered notification to be. Maybe it's based on seniority. Maybe in this, agency, everything is based on seniority. So what I'm going to do is do it as a staggered coverage alert. And it's going to go in order. It's going to send out the email to the first person who's been here the longest. They can accept the sign up, or they can deny it. And then if they deny it, it would go on to the next person. And so it just kind of keeps going one by one until it's filled. So that's another option for doing the coverage alerts. So moving on to somebody that's a member, I'm just going to pull in somebody here that's a member. And in the schedules, there's the My Schedule page. And I guess I pulled a person who doesn't actually have much on here. So I guess I could still put on this person here. I'll still go back to him because he's got a shift on here. So when you're in the My Schedule page, this is where a lot of your members can come in here. The blue is going to be your scheduled time. Everything is color coded here. If there's any open shifts, that will be displayed as well. And if there are some purple that's open shift, they can come in here and go ahead and sign up here for this particular one here. And then you can show that it's pending, that they actually signed up for it, but it's pending admin approval. But otherwise in here, you can also do a lot of your submitting time off. So if I actually have a shift here, I'm going to turn off the open shift so it's not so messy here. So say I wanted this day off, I can actually click on the shift and submit time off. Put in what it is I want to, what type of leave it is, and hit submit time off. Or even your trades. If you have trades that you want to do, you can select the request trade. There are a couple of different trades that if your department chooses to use both giveaway and swap. Giveaway is strictly that. I don't want to work the schedule, please somebody else take it. And of course the swap is, hey, I'll work a shift for you if you work a shift for me. And in doing that, you can go ahead and select, maybe you've talked to a person and said, yeah, they're willing to swap with you. You can select them and hit send trade request. That is then in turn onto them to accept that and offer a trade back to them, a shift back to them. So it's kind of a give and take there for a few steps for the trade swaps. But that can all be done here as well. The other thing too that we have here is the share my schedule link. So if you are using, Outlook, Gmail, some other kind of personal calendar, you can also sync your work calendar here, your Aladtec shift calendar to your personal one as well. So you can see it all in one. One of the other things I wanted to just quickly note too is in looking at the monthly calendar view, you may see little sticky notes, they're little yellow boxes. That is something that supervisors or admins can go ahead and put in little sticky notes to indicate there's a message there, and you can take a look at that as well. So that's mostly the schedule views. Now, one other way, we talked about the hourly editor, where you can make your day-to-day changes and add people to the schedule. But of course, then we have actually the repeats and rotations. So if you actually have members who have a certain shift that they work, whether it's a 24/48, it's 12 on, 12 off, and for 3 days, and then they have 2 days off, whatever it is, we can customize that in here. So right now, if I were to go ahead and select say I select David Snyder here, I can choose what schedule I want him to be on, what position slot that they are qualified to work. It would only show those that he's qualified to work. It would not show anything else. And then we can choose the repetition type. So if they're on just a regular weekly schedule and they work certain days of the week, all the time, we can put that in, enter in our date range, and continue, and they would be on it. We also have different filtered ones right here that are already in here, 2 to 12 weeks that they can do, a certain schedule for up to 12 weeks if it's constant and then it repeats. Or we can do a custom rotation, which is like your so many hours on, so many hours off, like a 24/48. We have several of them here that are in here for you to choose, but just know that we can also customize the rotation for you. The customer support can work with you and be like, yep, this is what you need. They'll build it in the background and it would be here as a drop-down list for you to use. So that actually how it puts people on for up to 2 years. So you can do it for as many months that you want, up to 2 years, and then they're on the schedule. So for this person here, you can see that their schedule is right here. This is what they're currently working. I can always make changes if for some reason the whole schedule is going to change. I can go ahead and cancel their current schedule and put them back on. So that is your repeats and rotations. To put those on, very easy, quick to use. It puts them all in the rotation right away. The hourly editor is something you can do on a day-to-day basis, make changes, add people, request time off, all of it done through there. So we do offer a time clock kiosk in here as well. So if that is an option you are wanting to look at, there is additional fee for that one, but that's the time clock one. I won't go through a lot with the time clock one, but it is an option that's available. The other thing I want to talk about then is the forms. So with forms, we actually have an entire forms library of over 200 pre-made forms in here. And these were all taken from current customers and what they use. So we worked with their customers and said these are a lot of the forms that they currently use. So you can actually look through them all, choose one, you can use it as is, or you can still customize it and make changes to it, or you can just start from scratch, add a blank form and add in all different kinds of fields that you would want. So if I just have a respirator fit test, this happens to be one in here, I can make changes to it on the left-hand side. Just very similar to the member database profile, we have access to all these different types of fields that we want to capture information in. And then we also have some different smart fields and layouts. So you can do a number of different layouts here. We also have a signature area. Some people use this for, like, say, timesheet approvals. So we have the option here of our pay period time receipt. And I'm not sure if I have one off the top here. Oh, this one I do not. I think this one is just a uniform one. But you're able to pull in signatures so they can approve their work schedule for the pay period. And that can be saved in here as well. All the forms are going to be saved in here when they're submitted, and can even run reports on them from the forms. So if I were to go into, say, a drug bucks one, I'm not sure if I have any examples in this one here. Should throw some in here for examples. Here we go. So this one actually shows the different forms that were filled out for this equipment maintenance request. I can filter this information out too if there's more details I want to highlight. And there's different views as well for this particular report. Now, a lot of times people might use these forms, say, even for vehicle checks. So if they do a vehicle check and there's some issues, we have within the forms, we have got field notifications and form notifications. So we can actually, if somebody were to fill out a specific field, it might then say, oh, okay, well, you filled out this field. I need to now alert, say, maybe a mechanic. And a message that this form was submitted will go to the mechanic, and they know, oh, there's an issue with this vehicle. So there's a lot of details that can be done in these forms, a lot of good techniques through there. So then the last thing I want to just talk about before we bring in our guest speaker here is the reports. We have several standard reports already built for you. I mentioned about the reports from forms that you can use, but a lot of the standard reports are going to be things with, say, the scheduled time report. You're going to see a listing here, and it's all filterable, customizable based on the date range you want to pull in, whether it's by month, maybe a pay period is very common, and you want to see what people actually worked. You can also filter information, include any, say, extra hours that's been submitted, so they put in some overtime. You can include time off that's in here as well, or maybe you don't want to include time off, you don't want to see it, you just want to see the information that people actually worked. So there are a lot of places to narrow down the information that you want to see. And of course, these reports are all exportable to a CSV file. So we've got lots of different ones. We have the payroll report as well. This one, we actually have a payroll module in the setup where a lot of the information such as shift overlap and defining overtime, whether you want to include schedule time or time clock hours, there's a lot of definitions in there that can be set up. It might sound a little scary, but it really isn't. You work with your solutions consultant and your accounts executive, and they will really set up the system to exactly what you need. So then all that is set for you as you're running your reports, you're good to go. So that's the basics. We have our storage, of course, where you can have all kinds of information up to 200 gigs. I've never seen anybody ever go over that. It's a lot of space for you to put things in here, whether it's HR information, policies, procedures, all of that information in here as well. So that's kind of just the basic update of the system. Now, I would like to bring in Steve. So Steve, if you are on here, I don't know if you're muted or not.
I am.
Perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thanks. So I was just telling Steve earlier that this is the first time we've actually had a guest speaker on here. And so I wanted to be able to hopefully show somebody that's currently using Aladtec. So Steve, is it Waybrecht? Am I saying your last name right?
Yep, that works.
Okay, okay. Perfect. So he is with Lifeline Critical Care at Penn State Hershey Medical Center. And Steve, I just wanted to kind of touch base a little bit with you. How long have you been an Aladtec customer?
You know, I was thinking about that, and I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been greater than 5 years. I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh, great. Okay. So do you know how many roughly in your department or your area uses Aladtec? Do you guys have a smaller amount, or is it a greater amount of people?
We're a department we have an EMS side and a critical care side. On the critical
Okay.
care side is the part that I work in. We probably have about 40 employees that we deal with. And the EMS
Okay.
side, which is where we got into Aladtec, they were using it before us. They probably have a couple hundred. They have a much broader
Oh,
scope
okay.
as
Okay.
far as the EMS side goes.
Perfect. So what were you part of? Were you, what is your role, I should say, with the critical care side?
My role on the critical care side is a flight paramedic. We have 2 helicopters and 1 ground truck that we all rotate through. I happen to be, as part of my responsibilities, chair of the schedule committee. So me and a few other people keep eyes on the schedule, put out vacation requests, that kind of stuff, and just basically manage the schedule that way.
Okay. So do you know, and I'm not sure if how long you've been using it yourself with what the company was, but were you at all part in making the decision to go with Aladtec?
No, I wasn't. It was actually handed
Okay.
down to us. They asked us our opinion. Basically, we were using paper schedules before, and
Okay.
we work off a matrix, so it wasn't horrible to do that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that the organizational aspect of a lad tech and a number of other things that we use with regards to your profiles, how you set it up, the
Okay.
forms, we use our unit checks on there, um, all that stuff. To me, once you get comfortable with it and used to it, it's not hard, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a change. And I just like the organizational aspect of it. It's very easy for me to go in and have multiple screens set up in the back that I can go through
Mm-hmm.
and add people, delete people, get people off, whatever I need to do. And that note section you talked about
Mm-hmm.
works very
Oh,
well for
good.
us because we have a lot of medical students and second, third year residents that come over on the critical care side. And that's, instead of making them part of the crew, we can put that up there in the note section that they'll be here from 7 to 3 today. And for the pilots, we'll put their weight in there so they know that kind of stuff to do weight and balance on the helicopter.
Oh, nice. So what do you, how do you see time saving? I mean, what do you see as the benefits then with Aladtec?
The benefits, and there's a good bit. I told you in our conversation earlier
Mm-hmm.
that I just unfortunately haven't had the time over the years to really dig into it and find out how much even easier I could make my work as easy as it is now. I think it's the organizational aspect of it. There's so many different twists and turns that you can address with this program.
Mm-hmm.
Once you really get into it, the EMS side's better at it than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But just me personally doing a lot of it every day I go in, I have that schedule open and I'm looking at things to address things. And we work off a template, and that's so easy for me to go in on a 4 week rotation. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody leaves our department, somebody else comes in, just to be able to put somebody else in that rotation for as many years out as we need to.
Perfect. Have you had to ever use the support, customer support?
I have had to use them a couple of times because you get afraid that, oh my God, I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
delete something, and I'm going to. But the support has been tremendous. I mean, they can actually sign on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they signed on before and looked at what I was doing and helped me that way. I'm not sure if they
Yep.
do that.
Yeah, they do. You can, yep, they have access to logging in so they can see exactly what, is going on with your system. So I know that's really great. So
And
I'm glad you,
yeah, they're really good at deciphering
that's
somebody
good.
who's not overly IT bright.
Yeah,
Describe their issue and actually, without having to sign on, tell you how to walk through it.
that's awesome. I know I was in support for many years, and before I moved into this area of marketing and working with the public safety, the Aladtec portion of it, and yeah, it was very nice. And that was one of the biggest things we would tell people too is don't be afraid to try things, and you're not going to break it. We're here to help you. That's the biggest thing that we would tell people is, hey, if you're trying to figure something out, some people, everybody's different. Some people want to figure it out themselves, but we'd also be like, well, don't spend too much time on it. Just give us a call and we'll have the answer for you, so then you can move on with your day. So
Yeah.
so I'm glad you
And,
benefited from it.
and one of the other things that I think is a huge time saver before, if somebody happened to call in sick or something, an emergency came up, we were on the phone having to call people, look at the schedule, find out
Oh,
who's coming in.
yeah.
With this notice here with yours, it's as easy as, depending on how you have their profile set up, we
Hmm.
can just send a mass text out, and it's only going to send it to the people that are actually available to come in and cover the shift.
Hmm.
Uh, it's a very easy way of knowing whether or not you're going to have somebody coming in.
All right. Okay, so I know you said like you don't always have the time to actually sit down and do even more with the system. Have you been able to use forms at all, or do you use the reports a lot, those features?
I haven't used the reports so much as the forms part that we use to do our daily checks is a very easy way. We can do it on our phone if we want to while we're going through the vehicle, or we can come in and pull it up on the desktop and do it that
Okay.
way.
So have you heard, I didn't actually get a chance to show, I should have showed that is the mobile version. I'm assuming most everybody uses the mobile version. A lot of members use that. Have you heard, good things or how that works for them? Is it still pretty easy for them?
I haven't heard from anybody else, but me personally, I like being able to pull it up to know, like even before I go into work the next day, if
Hmm.
something, make sure nothing changed, I can pull it up real quick on my phone and say, okay, we got full staffing today, we're good to go.
Hmm. Did you guys ever run into, because I know in my days in support too, sometimes you'd run into where people maybe sometimes they don't show up because they'll say, oh, I know I never signed up for that shift. And then you have to say, well, you have the proof now to say, yeah, you did. You ever run into those things or did?
Not too often, but yeah, you're right.
Okay.
And the neat thing is that somebody could say, hey, somebody took me off the schedule, and then you can go back and find out who tweaked the schedule at that point. I mean, every time you do an entry, it's marked in there and it's saved in there. So I know if I goofed up, I can go back and say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I did do that back on this date at this time. I made that change to the schedule and forgot to let you know. You still there? Still there?
Uh-oh.
I'm still here.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I lost Nancy.
Okay, looks like we might have lost Nancy there. Interesting.
Yeah, was there
Um,
more than two people in the chat?
we just got a couple of guests today. I need to switch my microphone over here. I'm on the wrong mic.
I can hear you good.
Geez. Okay, I just got a message from Nancy. It sounds like they lost power at the building.
Oh, jeez.
Interesting.
Oh, well,
Okay.
I
Well,
went out with a bang.
yeah, no kidding, right? Okay. Well, hey, Steve. I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to add then today?
No, I'm good. I think we got the highlights across pretty much.
Cool. Okay, let me switch over here. I'm going to. Well, I don't think we have any questions in the chat. So, I guess all I can say is, Steve, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate you spending the time with us this morning and everyone else today.
Sure, no problem. Glad I could do something.
Yeah, for anyone in the chat, if you guys want to try a demo, please feel free to check us out at www.aladtec.com. You can try a free demo, get in there and try it out. Yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say. I don't usually close these out, so it's unfortunate we lost Nancy. But hey, once again, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we hope you have a good one. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.